By the next morning, every breakfast television program from London to Los Angeles was dissecting the incident. Royal commentators were dragged out of semi-retirement to analyze Prince Harry's abrupt exit, while American talk show hosts played and replayed the clip like it was a Super Bowl fumble. What shocked people most wasn't the walk-off, it was how raw and personal it all became. Harry, once praised for his polished media appearances, had shown a glimpse of unchecked emotion, even anger. To some, it was proof that he was human, tired, and fed up. To others, it looked like entitlement. As one British morning host sharply put it, he wants to tell his truth, but seems allergic to being questioned about it. Kelly Clarkson, meanwhile, had gone viral for all the right reasons. Clips of her calmly pressing Harry on public versus private healing were shared with hashtags like #KellyKeptItReal and #TalkShowQueen. Even her critics grudgingly admitted she'd held her ground with dignity and restraint. But behind the scenes, the pressure was mounting. A leak from within NBC revealed that Harry's team had been sent the segment outline 2 weeks before filming, including the family accountability question. A signed email from his PR representative confirmed they were aware. Suddenly, Harry's outrage looked less like righteous indignation and more like performance gone wrong. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle was reportedly furious over how the incident had been handled. Sources close to her claimed she had warned Harry not to appear without a pre-taped format. "He gets too reactive," an insider told Variety. "And live TV isn't forgiving." In Montecito, their estate was on lockdown. Harry cancelled an appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and postponed a mental health summit in Canada, citing personal reasons. Meghan, who had planned to attend the ESPYs as a guest of Serena Williams, quietly bowed out. Public sympathy began to splinter. One viral tweet read, "Greater than, you can't cry, mental health, as a shield every time someone disagrees with you." Kelly asked fair questions. That's literally her job, but others defended him fiercely. Greater than, Harry's whole life has been under attack. He sat there and was polite until he wasn't. That's called being human. Over at the Kelly Clarkson Show, viewership soared. The now infamous episode was replayed twice during primetime. NBC issued a carefully worded statement, emphasizing that they stood by Kelly's journalistic integrity and that all guests were treated with respect and transparency. The following week, the network launched a poll online asking fans who they'd like to see interviewed next. Meghan Markle shot to the top, though not necessarily for the reasons her team hoped. Part 4, A Royal Reckoning. 10 days later, with public debate still raging, Harry re-emerged in a surprise video posted to Archewell's YouTube channel. Seated in what appeared to be his backyard garden, he looked visibly tired but composed. "I want to speak candidly," he began. "The last couple of weeks have been a lot. I walked off the Kelly Clarkson Show, and for many, that seemed like I was running away from tough questions. Maybe I was. It was a surprising admission, one that instantly went viral. I don't regret standing up for myself. But I do regret how I handled it. I lost my cool. I could have done better. And to Kelly, I'm sorry for making it harder than it had to be." Social media exploded. Some were relieved by the accountability. Others were skeptical, calling it damage control after a PR nightmare. But even some of his staunchest critics softened. Kelly responded later that day via Instagram Live. "It takes guts to own up," she said, sitting in her makeup chair before taping. "I've been there. We all have. So thank you, Harry." She even added, with a smirk, "And if you ever want a do-over, the door's not locked." Still, not everyone bought the redemption arc. UK tabloids continued their campaign against Harry, with one headline reading, "From royalty to reality TV drama." Meghan's half-sister gave interviews trashing him for crumbling under a single tough question. Royal insiders whispered that King Charles had completely tuned out from Harry's antics and no longer sees any road back. But despite the media noise, something shifted in Harry's fan base. The apology, awkward as it was, made him relatable again. Viewers began revisiting the interview, not to analyze his fury, but to see the moment he cracked under pressure. Psychologists were invited onto morning news to talk about emotional triggers, PTSD, and public trauma. The narrative subtly began to change, from spoiled prince lashes out, to burned out man reacts under scrutiny. Meanwhile, Kelly's producers were negotiating a bombshell reunion episode. The plan, a future roundtable on forgiveness, reconciliation, and fame, with guests like Matthew Perry's widow, a former paparazzi, and yes, maybe even Prince Harry himself, if he agreed to come back. Though Meghan reportedly remained hesitant about any live appearance for the foreseeable future, Harry was said to be warming up to the idea. NBC insiders speculated that the very incident that almost torched his reputation could end up becoming one of his most defining media moments. But as one entertainment journalist aptly put it, by month's end, Kelly Clarkson's ratings hit an all-time high. Harry's memoir returned to the bestseller list, and a nation, maybe even two, was reminded that no amount of crowns or cameras can prepare anyone for the raw, unscripted chaos of being human in the spotlight. 2 weeks after the explosive Kelly Clarkson incident, the echo still reverberated across the media landscape, and within the walls of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Montecito estate. Inside their minimalist, high-security California home, the atmosphere had shifted. Tension sat between the couple like an uninvited guest. Meghan had remained quiet for days following the clash, reportedly spending long hours in her home office, managing Archewell projects and fielding calls from their public relations team. She hadn't explicitly blamed Harry, but the disappointment was palpable. One of her closest friends, a former Suits co-star, was overheard at a brunch in Santa Monica saying, she told him to avoid live shows unless he had final edit. But he thought Kelly's show was safe territory. Not anymore. Harry, meanwhile, had become introspective. Sources close to him revealed he was deeply shaken by how quickly public sentiment turned. He had gone in expecting empathy, and instead faced tough questions that cracked his composure in front of millions. Worse still, it wasn't just Kelly. British tabloids were using the outburst to question his entire credibility, painting him as fragile, media-addicted, and disconnected from reality. The British press ran relentless op-eds comparing him to Princess Diana, some with compassion, others with biting sarcasm. One article cruelly titled, "The Crown Slips Again," suggested he should rethink the publicity tour if he's going to flinch at softballs from an American pop star. Even within the US, opinion was split. Some TV personalities came to Harry's defense. Oprah, during a quiet moment at the end of a segment, said, "When you live with trauma, not every day is your best day. We need to be gentler with one another." But others, like Wendy Williams, were brutal. Harry's got a new book, a mansion, a Netflix deal, and he can't answer a simple question without flipping. The teacup, come on now. Behind the scenes, producers from other talk shows were reportedly reconsidering whether to book Harry in the future. The risk seemed too high. But oddly enough, the only person not rattled by the fallout was Kelly. Back in Nashville, Kelly Clarkson was riding the wave. The clash with Harry had unexpectedly become the most viewed moment in the history of her show, and catapulted her back into the headlines as a woman unafraid to ask hard questions. Her staff had been hesitant at first, unsure how to navigate the firestorm. But Kelly set the tone early. "We didn't plan for drama," she told her team. "But I won't apologize for asking real questions. That's why people watch." Within days, her production team greenlit a special follow-up segment, Respectful Conversations in a Divided World, a thematic episode exploring how celebrities, media, and society collide in the modern age. It was part damage control, part bold statement. The guest list included a trauma psychologist, a former royal biographer, and, surprisingly, Meghan McCain. "It's not about attacking Harry," Kelly said on air during the segment. "It's about acknowledging that we're all under pressure. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be able to talk." Her calm, measured tone struck a chord. Articles began surfacing with titles like, "Kelly Clarkson, the talk show host we didn't know we needed," and, "In the age of drama, Kelly keeps it classy." Meanwhile, her Nashville fanbase, fiercely loyal and deeply supportive, launched a social media campaign called #StandByKelly. Country artists began sending messages of support. Even Reba McEntire tweeted, "Proud of you, at Kelly Clarkson. You asked what needed to be asked." But the real shocker came when a royal insider revealed that King Charles had privately thanked Kelly's producers for handling the incident with restraint. The message was unofficial, of course, shared quietly through a palace-connected PR source, but it confirmed what many had suspected: the firm was watching and silently approving.